on her porch. Hello, Uno. Mr. Al. Ese peso. Okay, don't jump on me. Hello, man, booger. No, don't jump on me. Don't jump on me. Don't jump on me. Go on and go find something to chase. Kind of cold this morning. A little windy. I had to find a place down here out of the wind so the audio wouldn't be so bad. Where do I start? This has been one of the toughest years of my life. It started out okay last year. I got to go make some camping videos and pack in. I went to some interesting places, found some petroglyphs, some old cabins, old buildings. And I enjoyed doing that. But what I enjoy most is taking two mules, packing one mule, riding one, and going across the country and camping. But then came later on in the year, about springtime, I guess, getting into summertime. And I started having what we ended up calling episodes. And these episodes were like, I would have like an aura. And then, I don't remember it, but my wife would tell me I would blank out for 30 seconds or a minute, something like that. And then, it would make me feel bad for like the next 3 days. I didn't feel like doing anything. So if you're a regular watcher of the channel, that's when those compilation videos started. Because I couldn't get out and do anything. Well then, that all started and I started going to a neurologist. And they wanted to do a 4-day study on me and I resisted it. So they ended up doing an overnight study on me. They didn't really find anything. So they talked me into going back and doing a 4-day study. And they attach all these things to your head. You have to stay in this little bitty room for 4 days. They'd let you out once a day, and I got to walk around. But you sleep and you stay in that little room all the time, hooked up to these little, whatever they are, sensors, and they're hooked up to a big old machine, and they try to find out what's going on with your brain. Well, they did. And they diagnosed me with, I hate this word, I hate it, epilepsy. So they started me on some medicine. The first medicine they gave me was terrible. I mean, I just got so depressed. I didn't feel like doing anything. And we looked up the side effects of it. And the side effects was depression and even suicidal thoughts. I didn't have any suicidal thoughts, but I dang sure didn't feel like doing anything. So, I mean, my wife called them down there, and they changed my medicine right then. And went down, got this new prescription, and I started on it. And it went really good for a while. And then I started not full, what we call episodes, not full episodes, but I would have like almost an aura, but not quite. It just made me feel funny. And so they upped my dosage. And that's been, I don't know, it's been a few weeks ago, and I haven't had an episode since then, so they might have it dialed in pretty good. You see, and if anybody knows my mom and dad, please don't say anything to them about it. My dad's 92 years old, my mom's 91 years old, and I was raised with an older sister who had full-blown epilepsy. And I mean, it was bad. She would have seizures and fall on the floor and shake, and they never did get it totally controlled. She ended up living in a, a care facility. And she just passed away last year. And my older sister, she had passed away the year before, and when the sister with epilepsy, she passed away right on my older sister's birthday. It's a terrible thing. So during all that, I went to the cardiologist, and they said that I had AFib. Now, I had had AFib before here. I can't even remember. That's another thing the epilepsy has done to me, is my memory has been kind of screwed up. I can remember things from when I was a little kid, and I can remember certain things, most everything. But then there's just certain things I can't remember. And it's affected my direction some. Sometimes I get a little turned around, and not so much out here in the hills, but in town, I might not remember where Walmart is. So that kind of bothers me. It might be God playing a trick on me, because at one time I said, once I've been to a place, I can always find my way back to it. That's not so much true anymore. There's that wind again. Anyway, so I went to my cardiologist, and I had had AFib before, arterial fibrillation in my heart, and I had it again. See, and one time back in 2001, I had what they call Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, which is like AFib, but your heart absolutely goes bananas. They came out and picked me up at the house in an ambulance and took me to the hospital. I was in the emergency room overnight, and then they put me in intensive care. And man, when they moved me from the gurney to the bed in intensive care, my heart absolutely went bananas. And there's nurses running across the room and everything. One says, that's a fatal heart rhythm. One nurse turned me over and put one of those, a sticky thing on my back, I guess so they could shock me to take me back into a normal rhythm. Another nurse come running through the room. She looked at me and she said, he's still conscious. And I said, yeah, and you guys aren't helping my heart rate any. So finally they gave me some medicine through the IV and got it controlled. So that happened. They sent me to Albuquerque. I had to lay around the house for a couple months, and then they sent me to Albuquerque, and they went in my heart and they fixed it that time. And then here a couple years ago I had AFib again, but it wasn't Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. And they took me into the hospital, and they burn it again. It's electrical pathways that get shorted out. That's all. That's what everything has been. And this last time, I guess it was a little worse. I had AFib, and they scheduled it. They put me out for 4 hours and did my heart, and then not neurologist. It's not a cardiologist. I can't remember the name of the doctor. Well, he came in and he talked to me for a long time. He said, we got most of it. He said, but there's one place we couldn't get. He said, it's where two big arteries that go into your heart cross, and they just can't get that one. And he said, maybe later on, he said, there might be some new technology where they can get in there and get that. And so he said, it's just something you're going to have to live with. He said, I'll see you in a year. So I don't worry about it a whole lot, because he said he'd see me in a year. So that means it's not fatal. But you got to keep living. You got to keep doing what you love to do. And what I love to do most of all is get on my mules and ride out in the backcountry. And preferably I like to take a pack mule, and I'd like to go somewhere where I can camp and see some more interesting things. And I'd like to do some more longer trips like we used to do. So that is my plan for the coming year. I've felt good for the last month. I haven't had anything going on. Today is New Year's Day, the first day of 2026. So I plan on doing more of that. Today, on days like this, I got my buggy. I got my side-by-side. And I got to get these dogs out. And so I just bring them out. There's a big old canyon I drive up, and then I drive through these hills, put the dogs on the ground, let them exercise, and it's possible they could hit a lion track in here. We've done it before, and they get to trail. Catching a lion in this country is pretty tough. But I enjoy watching the dogs trail more than anything. And I like to go through the country and see where the lions travel and everything. I'm not a big killer. Now, with that being said, it's been a couple years ago. I caught a lion down on the river, an old female, and she was starving to death. I trailed her for 2 days prior to that. I trailed her up into some bluffs, and we couldn't find her. And then I went down to the river one other day, and I hit her track down low in a place where I thought I could catch her. And sure enough, she'd killed a sandhill crane. And I ran her off that I trailed her from that sandhill crane and treed her. And I treated her and took some pictures of her. And then I went back to the house and I got some more dogs, and I went down there and trailed her down the river again, treated her again. And I got to looking at her. And typically myself, I don't really care about killing a lion. And, but she was starving. I'll show you a picture of her. She was absolutely starving to death. So I called a friend of mine. He had always wanted to shoot a lion. And he came down and he went ahead and shot her. Put her out of her misery. It was awful. And then another lion I caught last year, a lady called me. And she said, I got my name from some other people. And that night, she called me at night. And that afternoon or night, she had a lion come into her yard and kill her little pet dog. And that dog she'd had that dog for like 10, 11 years. And she said, this lion came right into my yard. She said, I was throwing rocks at it. Because a lot of times I said, are you sure it was a lion? Because I thought it might have been a coyote. And she said, no, it was a lion. She said, I was throwing rocks at it and kicking at it and everything. And she said, it just grabbed my dog and hauled it off. So I said, I'll be up there tomorrow morning. And I went up there the next morning. I trailed that lion up the mountain there. Got a call. A lion came in and killed a lady's dog in her yard. They went up here and caught it, I'm sure. Watch out! And I dispatched of it. And I took it straight down to the Game and Fish and turned it in. I told them I didn't have a depredation permit. I didn't have time to get one. But this lion had killed a lady's dog in her yard, or not even in her yard, on her porch. And I said, I think it needed to be done away with. Because once they start that, they can do it again and again. It becomes like an easy meal for them. And it was a young lion. And so they said, no problem. They thanked me, matter of fact. And they put it in a big old bag, and that was it. But anyway, that's lion hunting. So I like to get the dogs out and bring them through here. It's not like riding the mule, but it's easy. Today I have to be back in time for dinner. We have our New Year's dinner. We're going to spend it with my 90-year-old mom and 92-year-old dad, and eat our black-eyed peas. The old superstition that black-eyed peas, if you eat black-eyed peas on New Year's Day, it means you're going to have a prosperous year. So I need a prosperous year. What else? Oh, comments on the videos. This is something that's really bothered me here of late. If you notice, I try to respond to as many comments as I can. But I've been getting so many comments that I can't respond to all of them. And I like to respond to them, not just thank you or not just a heart or whatever they have. I like to, respond to them personally. And I haven't been able to do that because there's just been too many of them. So I had an idea. You guys can let me know what you think. I've got a members thing, and then I also have a Patreon. And I kind of got confused. Back a long time ago, they didn't have the membership deal on YouTube. They had Patreon. So I was doing these interviews of these old lion hunters, and I needed to generate income to be able to make those interviews because I was traveling all over the place. So I started that Patreon, and I got a lot of guys who joined it. And then later on, YouTube come up with this membership deal. So I had, they give you the membership. So I had a lot of guys join the membership. And YouTube takes more money out of the membership than Patreon does. So you guys let me know in the comments if you'd rather have Patreon or the membership through YouTube. But anyway, I was thinking I could make a post on each one on the Patreon and the membership, explaining what video I had coming out or what video I had come out, and then people can comment on that, and I think I should be able to get to every comment on that and respond. And also in the regular comments, most people probably don't see them, but I get some nasty comments, and I can read 100 good comments, and I get that one bad comment and it sticks in my head and I can't get rid of it, you know. And usually it's just dummies that don't have anything better to say, so they'll comment. Like one of them was, "You're the stupidest guy I've ever seen, you're stupid, blah blah blah." And another person said something, and I don't know, they're terrible, so I delete them. But still, if I could just ignore the regular comments and just respond to the people who think enough to become a member, and it helps me, you know, it gives me a little more income, and probably will allow me to go to more places and further away places. If my health stays good, there's places I want to go in Arizona, Colorado, Nevada. I love Nevada. And also there's a place I want to go. When I was a kid, our senior class, of course, I've always been this way. Our senior class, they were going to Golden, Colorado, and I said, "Where's the fun in that?" And I talked two of my friends into packing into the Pecos Wilderness. And I'll leave that for the video. I plan on going back to the same place we went, but let me tell you what, it was an adventure and an experience. Those dogs are way up there in those rocks, up there on those bluffs, snooping around. So anyway, here's to a happy new year. A new year doing what we love to do. Can't quit. Got to keep going. No matter what. I'm 64 years old. I've never felt old until this year. But I feel better now, and I want to go onward and upward. I want to see some different country. I want to use my mules. And still, let me know if you want to see some more of these buggy videos, because I do this probably 2 or 3 times a week, because I got to get my dogs out. You can't, I think it's cruel to leave those dogs in a pen all the time. So I got to get them out. Even if it's for a little journey through these hills on a 2-track road, I got to get them out. So anyway, thank you for watching. As always, onward and upward, and let's make this a really good year. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you watching. And if you become a member, I really appreciate that too.